everyone, and welcome back to the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina. Happy Wednesday to you all. I hope that you guys are having a fantastic day, whether your day is just beginning, in the middle, or towards the end. I hope that it's going well. I am not, let's just be honest, I am not the biggest fan of Wednesdays. I feel like it's just that day that's in the middle. I try really hard not to be negative about specific days. Wednesdays just seem like tough because you're just in the middle of the week. You know, you're just chugging along. It's kind of like, okay, at least 2 days have happened, but then I still have 2 more after this one. I don't know. They're not my favorite days. If you are not new here, you will know that Thursdays are my favorite days. But regardless, I hope that you're having a fantastic day. If you're having a tough day where you're experiencing issues, troubles, problems, things are just raining down on you, you feel overwhelmed with burdens just like piling on top of you, I encourage you to take the 5-minute reset, which is to take at least 5 minutes to be by yourself, to just kind of come back to baseline, reboot, reset your day in that moment, unload any problems or issues that you're having, take some time away from those burdens so that you can just take a breath. Also, it'll allow you opportunity to maybe problem solve anything that you're dealing with so that you can, kind of move on from it that day or the next day or whenever the next time you can to implement those problem solving solutions that you'll have time to come up with. And in addition to that, I always suggest that you do a gratitude list and have a list of at least 4 things that you're grateful for. And those can be really big things, really small things, medium-sized things. You can be grateful for being able to finally go see a movie. Like, I know some places are allowed to see movies because my daughter recently saw one in a different county than we live in with her grandparents. But yeah, grateful that you were able to go see a movie, grateful that you were able to finally go shopping for the first time in a long time, eat dinner out with friends. Maybe you are able to go on a small little road trip and that was super fun. I would just encourage you to be grateful for anything and everything. It just, with the ability to be grateful for so many different sized things, the list just becomes endless. So I would say make a list of at least 4 things you're grateful for. You're welcome to make the list longer. And then the last part, one of the most important parts, it's all important, but you know what I mean, is to make sure that you leave your 5-minute reset feeling at least neutral, if not positive, about the rest of your day, because you do not want to pass along your bad mood to anyone else. You do not want to be out there just moody and angry. The point of the reset is to kind of shake off the issues that you're dealing with. I understand that doesn't mean that those things are going to fall away or just disappeared or no longer be an issue, but you're taking a break. You're trying to problem solve them. You're also focusing in on gratitude and realizing that despite the problems that you're experiencing, you still have many things to be grateful for, to be happy about. That gratitude list should help to shift your mindset, change your perspective, and help you kind of realize that, okay, there are still amazing things happening for me. I just kind of need to focus more on those and deal with this on the side, and it'll all be better the next day, next week, whenever it can get better. Just continue to believe and have that mindset of at least a little bit of positivity to push you through to keep on going. So if you're having a hard day, I encourage you to do that. However, I hope that this Wednesday is actually going well for you. Just a reminder that this week we are talking about regaining self-worth, and today, Wednesday, we're going to talk about what destroys self-worth. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. The things that destroy your self-worth aren't negative things that happen day to day that would easily bring down your self-esteem, but unresolved issues from past experiences and emotions you haven't dealt with. So those are the things that are gonna kind of drag down your self-worth. And if you listen to the first 2 episodes for this week talking about self-worth, you'll understand that yesterday I talked about the difference between self-worth and self-esteem, and then on Monday I talked about self-love, but it's very important to understand the distinction between self-esteem and self-worth, and then also realize that self-worth comes more from the inside than the day-to-day problems that may arise and kind of cause our emotions to go up and down. It's actually from things that are deep-seated inside of us, past experiences and traumas. And whatever happened in those experiences created deep-seated beliefs that highly affect your self-worth. And I would say the biggest emotion that brings down self-worth is sustained shame. And shame is not something that I spoke a lot about on the podcast yet. I promise you that I will get to it. There are so many topics that are that's still on the horizon to speak about on the podcast. If you have any suggestions, I encourage you to come visit me on Instagram at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, or check the description box. There's an email there. Send me everything you want me to know or do or talk about. But yeah, so shame is one of those things. Shame is one of those things that can cling to us so tightly and for so long. Shame is the feeling of thinking we are unworthy, bad, or wrong in conjunction to something that has happened. And it definitely changes the way that we think about ourselves, because shame can come from so many different experiences. Everyone will have a different experience with it, a different I don't even know. Let's see. How do I want to explain this? There's a different way for it to come about in our lives. Some people will be able to move past it and get over it. Other people, it'll literally just be on you like skin for the rest of your life if you don't take the proper steps to deal with it. And unresolved shame can cause feelings of depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, and low self-worth. And obviously it's an unpleasant thing to live with and carry around. No one wants to have that in the back of their minds, because it just brings down everything internally in your mind of how you think about yourself, what you believe you can do and you can't do, who you truly are, and what you are worthy of, i.e. self-worth. Those experiencing shame live with the belief that them as a person, not what they have done or said, classifies them as bad or wrong. So it's whatever experience and thing that happened to you, even if you did something wrong or made a mistake, you internalize it as you as a whole person, not just the act, pulling out the experience or the actual action or things that you said that was causing the issue. No, you internalize it as you as a total being as wrong and unworthy. And sometimes this can ignite a change in people to become different. You might just decide, okay, based upon this shame that I feel from this thing that happened or what I said or how things played out, I'm going to become a different person. I'm going to go through these different steps to become stronger and better to get over this thing. But with others, it can just be overwhelmingly paralyzing. And I feel like I'm one of those people with all the terrible things that I have experienced in my childhood growing up. Shame is definitely so paralyzing to me that it does have such a deep effect on what I believe about myself, how I feel about my self-worth, what I feel like I'm worthy of, and who I think I am and what I think I'm capable of, whether or not people are going to like me, if I actually am lovable. And it was oh my goodness, it's caused so many overwhelming problems. And I feel like today it causes a lot less problems because I've been through therapy and I've been through, just my own personal meditation and prayer and everything to kind of push through it and realize that I'm letting those things become much deeper implanted in me than they need to be, and I need to be able to differentiate between an experience and actually who I am as an entire person. And not every experience and everything that we do needs to be internalized that way, and it doesn't directly reflect who we truly are, because people make mistakes. No one's perfect. We need to realize that, we may make a lot of mistakes. We may take the wrong road. We may, take a detour on whatever journey that we're on and, come up feeling like, oh my gosh, all these terrible things happened and all these mistakes happened. Or a lot of times, especially with me, is that you go through such a traumatizing experience and it wasn't even on you, right? It was the people that were in your life, those are the people that caused the issues for you. And you're just crap, I feel all the shame even though none of this was truly my fault, right? But you're still internalizing that because you feel like for some reason you feel like you did something, you were responsible in some way, even though a lot of times with the childhood trauma, you didn't do anything, it was just the circumstance of how your life played out. So anyway, shame is just so powerful, and we need to take a step back and realize that it doesn't need to have that much power over us. But yeah, like I said, it can be so overwhelmingly paralyzing for some, and other people it can just ignite like a change and want to be different. And in addition to speaking about shame, low self-worth stems from major events in your life, like I said, childhood trauma and abuse, poor parenting and attachment, growing up, I'm familiar with all these things, and negative core beliefs like believing you are unlovable, no one likes you, or that knowing who you really are would push people away. So you're basically are like already making the decision that like no one's gonna love me, no one's gonna like me, no one's gonna really truly want to be with me or be my friend or even want to know me if they truly know who I am and what I'm about, which again is derived from shame and the things that you've experiencing and thinking that those things like define who you are, when really those were just, they need to be separated from you and just evaluated as true experiences, not like real things that define exactly who you are. And another important thing to mention about self-worth is that it cannot come from outside factors. It has to come from who you think you are and what you believe about yourself. So, with self-esteem, people can tell you what they think about you and then how you perform in your everyday life, and any sort of evaluation that you get from someone else. Yeah, that can definitely change your self-esteem so much. But those are not the things that affect your self-worth. Your self-worth is completely from internal, what you think about yourself. And, sometimes we can go up and down with our self-esteem, and like I mentioned yesterday, you can kind of put on a front and act like you feel good about yourself and that you are the best and that you feel strong, when really inside you actually feel like no one cares about you. You're not worthy of being loved. No one will ever want to be with you. You're such a terrible person because of all the terrible experiences that you've gone through. Believe me, I've been through this train of thought. I understand. But I do want to make sure that you understand that self-worth does not come from outside. It doesn't come from any sort of judgments or evaluations that you get from like your job or from like other people in your life. It's definitely internal and what you've decided about yourself, which can definitely be derived from those experiences, like I already mentioned. So making more money, having more friends and fame, people finding you attractive, or trying to change what your body looks like to please others or look like someone you believe is more appealing will not increase your self-worth. Those things might boost your self-esteem for sure, but even then it will only be temporary, because you might make some more money and you're like, wow, I can afford all of these cool things. I can definitely be keeping up with the Joneses and all this stuff. But then, someone else is going to come along and make more money than you. It's inevitable. It's literally inevitable. And they're going to be able to buy more things. And then you're going to feel envious and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't stack up. I'm not going to be the same. And then, going out of your way to find the best way to dress and do your makeup and your hair, to find for people to find you attractive, yeah, they might find you attractive, but what is that going to do for you? That doesn't necessarily mean that people will want to be your friend or be in a romantic relationship with you, because if your personality and the things that you actually believe about yourself, which always seeps out, you might try your hardest to lock all that stuff down and keep it internalized and pretend to be someone else. But I assure you, I promise you, there will come a point where all of that will start to seep out if it doesn't just explode in your face. And I'm talking from personal experience, and I know this is kind of real talk right now, and you're like, oh, I don't want to hear that. No, that's not true. I can keep up the facade. I'm telling you, you can't. You can't. There's going to become a point where it's just going to be too much, or it's going to start to slowly leak out, and then all of a sudden it can get super overwhelming and emotional, and then it'll all come out. So honestly, you just need to just be yourself and be true to who you are. But yeah, and then trying to be more appealing, trying to be someone else, trying to have fame and fortune, all that's temporary. It's not going to last forever. And also the facade that you're putting up, that using all of those things to try to use that to boost your self-worth, it's not going to work. And that's not where it comes from. It comes from the deep feeling and ideals of who you are from inside. And a lot of times people believe that self-worth can be measured by how much money you make, who your friends are, what kind of job you have, and how well you are succeeding at it, and any other achievements. But these things do not have a direct relationship with who you are as a human and your true worth. They're just all of these outside things, and they're the things that people use to measure people against each other, which is absolutely terrible. But that is the society and the world that we live in. It's something that we have to accept that happens. It doesn't mean that you have to play into it or be happy about it, but you have to realize that that's the game that a lot of people are playing. And so by knowing who you are and what you're all about, being comfortable in that, sitting in that, living in that, realizing that, yeah, people may not like you as much, you might not be the most popular person, but at least you like you, and at least you're secure in that, and at least you don't really even care. Like maybe sometimes you'll care, but a lot of times if your self-worth is where it needs to be, you're not really going to care what other people are thinking. You're like, you know what, I'm over here doing me. Whoever wants to join me and be my friend, be in my group, that's cool. So but yeah, those are the things that really bring down self-worth. I would say really big, like, shame, the experiences, the past experiences that we go to, we just let it cling and then hang on us forever. And honestly, the biggest thing that we can do is to really start the really hard work to move past those things, move past letting those traumas dictate our life and tell us what to do and how to act and how we're going to feel about ourselves. No, we need to realize that those are separate experiences. And despite the fact that we may have made really big mistakes that have change the direction of our life, we can still move on from those things. We can still transition and enjoy our life and love who we are and really embrace who we truly are. I believe that. And on tomorrow's episode, we are going to talk about what builds self-worth. So today we talked about what breaks it down. Tomorrow we're going to talk about what builds it up. So if you would like some information and knowledge about how to build your self-worth back up to where it needs to be, I would encourage you to tune in tomorrow. But that's that. I'm just going to leave it right there because I have this feeling that if I keep going, I'll go on a tangent and I might just want to leave that for tomorrow. So again, thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you know someone else that would really enjoy it, I encourage you to share it with them as well. Again, come visit me on Instagram at Sabrina Joy Perozzo. I'd love to hear from you, get a DM from you, suggestions on podcasts I should do in the future, like episodes, anything that you like, don't like, feedback, whatever it may be. Check the description box for notes for the show. Also, my email address for any questions, comments, concerns, or prayer requests, feedback, podcast episode suggestions, whatever, just a simple hello. I would appreciate that as well. But again, happy Wednesday. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope I get to, have you come back for the next episodes. But until then, have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.